All right, a lot to get through. Joining me now for the latest. Radio 2GB host Michael McLaren and Herald Sun columnist Patrick Carline. Michael and Patrick, welcome. You probably heard enough out of me in terms of that editorial. This is all an attempt to mop up that decision from the High Court last week, but it's been made so much worse today, I think, by a government that not only flat-footed in their response, Michael McLaren, but slow. And what staggers me is this revelation that none of these people, none of these 84 out in the community now will be locked up after this legislation passes, if it does, through the Senate. But we could have another 340 foreign criminals let out.
Yeah, Peter, they were strong words at the start and I commend you for them. I think you're speaking what you said there, really what a lot of Australians will be thinking, and probably just quietly what some in even the government are thinking how the hell did it come to this? But I mean, there's been a lot of discussion in the last 48 hours or so about Peter Dutton's attack on the government on this, as well as his criticism against Anthony Albanese before he left for America on his government's approach to anti-Semitism. Whether there's a connection there or not, I don't know. But what I would say is there is a connection, I think, really, between the voice debate and this, because I think, is this not another example of government and government ministers distracted, certainly over the last 5 months in this circumstance, with the voice, trying to get that across the line? That was the be-all and end-all. That was the litmus test of the government's ability to prosecute a case. Clearly things were missed, and this is one hell of a miss. As you said, it's not as if the High Court decision was necessarily a surprise. It certainly wasn't as if the High Court deciding when it did hand down its findings that the timing was a surprise. This has been a case before the court, I believe, at least 5 months. And as you say, you're quite right, when these things go before the court, you've got to prepare for a negative outcome as much as be ready to celebrate continuity with a positive outcome. So clearly there was nowhere near, if none, preparation actually done. The government and therefore the Australian public have been caught very, very much on the hop here, and it's simply not good enough. Peter Dutton is right to prosecute the case that he is.
And of course, Patrick, you get the situation where we know they're all on welfare. We know Australians are doing it tough. We've got pensioners that can't keep the lights on, but these foreign criminals are getting welfare. We have those reports today that they're very likely to get hundreds of thousands of dollars in compensation as well. You can understand why people are furious, can't you?
Oh, look, certainly pensioners, Peter, but I think most Australians are furious. I mean, they don't want these people on their streets. They're now on the streets. And now you've got the double whammy to what you rightly called a travesty, where they're looking at compensation claims, which have been described by the Solicitor General as undefendable, I think was the term he used. And so basically we're going to look at tens of millions of dollars being paid out to these people who we don't want and we never wanted. I can understand why pensioners are upset. The cost of living, you know, is terrible at the moment for all Australians. And here are people going to get these massive payouts for having done the wrong thing over a long time. I mean, it's outrageous on so many levels.
I've got to ask you, Michael McLaren, could you take talk back? You've got an ear to the ground, particularly in Sydney. What are people telling you about the Prime Minister's travel? I mean, I'll get into the detail in a moment about what was discussed at APEC, but are they noticing he's travelling a lot? Are they happy with it? Are they saying, no, he's got to focus on stuff at home?
It's noted. There's no doubt it's noted. Look, the opinion is split, although by far the majority say that the travel really has to be reined in, and I think most people would concur with that. Look, if the American president invites the Australian Prime Minister to a state event, it's a pretty courageous Prime Minister that says, no, sorry, President, I'm not going to come. And in light of recent history, face-to-face with the Chinese leader, you can certainly mount the case to attend. But we're now looking at 21, aren't we? 21 overseas journeys, more no doubt to come. Some of these needn't have been delivered by the Prime Minister or attended by the Prime Minister. You have ministers, capable or otherwise, I suppose, who you could send for a lot of them, and heaven forbid we learned through COVID you can do Zoom on occasions too. So, look, the public sense, and I think some in the newspapers are picking up on this as well as obviously Talkback Radio, that there are some fires at home that need attending. And it is not a good look, if nothing else, that the Prime Minister isn't here to, use his own words, hold the hose. And it's becoming increasingly difficult for him to justify more and more, even important, overseas visits, even if they have some outcomes. It's harder and harder to justify when all isn't well at home.